Back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. We've got the Grand Mullah, Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir in the house, and also the man with the crystal ball, Professor Makau Mutua. Gentlemen, before I get to NASA, which I had asked you before the break, real quick, next time President Kenyatta meets President Museveni, what do you think will happen in that room? You think will M7 turn to him and say, hey, man, you stopped my guy?
Yeah, I think next time Mr. Kenyatta meets Mr. Museveni, there should be a Putin-Obama moment whereby he looks at him straight in the face and tells him to cut it out. It's clear to me, and unlike my friend here, I've spent virtually all my academic life studying African statecraft. It's really a terrible mistake on the part of a neighboring head of state in Africa to interfere in the internal affairs of another state, and especially if that the interfering head of state is a known dictator and an anti-democrat who has no bone of decency in himself, like Museveni. He has to be stopped. And I think Kenyans should be alive to this fact, that when these folks on Mr. Ruto's side say that, somehow Museveni has become our teacher on democracy, we ought to be very worried. Our teacher on democracy, okay? I just wonder what Mr. Ruto sees in Mr. Museveni to keep on going there, to keep on, building on that, fostering that relationship with a person who is a dictator. I just don't understand it. Is that the model that he wants to bring to Kenya, Mr. Ruto? Is that the model?
Grand Mullah, maybe it's just the NRM colors, It's the same as UDA. Maybe it's the color scheme.
But, in all fairness, we are making a mountain out. There's nothing in this. I mean, there is nothing that will happen in the relationship between Kenya and Uganda. I mean, this was a private visit by the deputy president. You are making it look like, it was an invitation by Museveni for the deputy president of Kenya to visit with a red carpet and a guard of honor. No, Prof is, he wants to create disharmony, where there's a lot of harmony. There's nothing bad in the relationship between these two countries. He's constantly going back to this issue that Museveni is a dictator, that he was a guerrilla in who took over power through the... those are irrelevant things in this issue we're discussing. There's nothing that will happen between the two countries.
All right, switching gears. Last time we spoke, gentlemen, NASA was on its deathbed. Is the death certificate about to be signed as we speak?
He's a member. Why don't you ask him?
No, he seems to know more than me. On this one, may I wash my hands off? No, seriously. I think that, NASA was a coalition of the willing, brought together with a single purpose, I think, of trying to capture state power. It brought together individuals who have not always seen eye to eye on many issues. And so I think it's natural that such a broad coalition, which is not bound by ideology or by mutual interests, that it could not survive the purpose for which it was created. And so I'm not surprised that it has collapsed.
You're not surprised? Grand Mullah?
NASA was a very powerful ethnic vehicle, that was used in the 2017 elections to mobilize votes. The three principles of NASA, or four if we add Wetangula, brought to the ballot box 5.5 million votes.
You're forgetting Isaac Ruto, by the way.
He didn't bring anything, he was there, but that was how important it was. Now, when you dismantle that and the four principles each go to their community, you see how weak they become. Unless they build another ethnic coalition, if they stand alone on their own, then they will stand no chance, absolutely no chance in 2022. So it is very important for them either to come back have a different agreement, bring or pool their, ethnic votes together. But if they go like they have just gone, dead in the water.
No, wait a minute. There is a dance happening as we speak on NASA's grave. It's called One Kenya Alliance. I mean, isn't that?
Yes, I mean, that's another, I mean, it's a third force, I mean, if they come together, I mean, still there's no certainty, because every time, a coalition of tribes come together, the question that arises is that who becomes the presidential candidate? And that's what killed NASA. NASA died because they could not agree who will be the flag bearer in 2022. So when they form OCOA now, whether they are 3 or 4 again, the same question will arise. And if they don't agree, then they will split again. I mean, they will go small groups. So that's the problem. I mean, that's the conundrum they face.
Prof, One Kenya Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's right. Grand Mullah, you're right about that political parties in Kenya are ethnic affairs, and they are crafted with the purpose of trying to cobble the largest basket of different ethnic votes to win elections. And that's why they have no staying power. And that is what happened in NASA. The One Kenya Alliance, if you ask me, is an attempt by my friend, the former Vice President, Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka, and Mr. Musalia Mudavadi, the two of them, because I think Mr. Wetangula is not really a factor in my view, but between the two of them to craft a vehicle to negotiate with other parties. And I think perhaps to negotiate with, if Mr. Odinga runs, to negotiate with him as one group. So I don't think that they believe, they have not told me this, but I don't think they believe that the One Kenya Alliance can run all the way to State House without Mr. Odinga.
Yeah, but it was the same Kalonzo Musyoka who said he would never support Raila again.
No, but
just the other day.
But more fundamentally, if Prof. thesis is right that they split so that they can renegotiate with Raila again, why do you break up NASA in the first place? I mean, does it make sense? As Prof is saying that they have gone their own ways, they will come back together again under Raila.
No, because
I mean, why they broke apart is because of that hegemonic dominance by Raila and his group. And I think it was a very, very historic moment for these two, especially Kalonzo and Mudavadi, to finally declare Uhuru from ODM.
No, I think you are smoking something. But let me tell you, I think you are smoking.
You can see the smoke?
No, I think you are smoking something. Look, I think that politicians always renegotiate agreements, and that is just a fact, and you know that. You know that each one of those three people, Mr. Mudavadi, Mr. Musyoka, and if Mr. Odinga is interested, would want to be the head of the ticket, okay? So this will be the purpose of negotiation. How will that shake out once they renegotiate? I should say to you that you seem to be very interested in the ethnic makeup of NASA, which I concede was cobbled along ethnic lines, but you seem completely uninterested in the ethnic makeup of the so-called Hustler Nation.
No, to the contrary.
Which is based on a diarchy.
To the contrary.
A diarchy between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin, at least from Mr. Ruto's to the contrary, I'm a student of that school of thought that says that our politics is based on ethnic basis, and we always have a coalition of tribes competing against one another, and that has always been the case, and it will always be the case. But I think one thing the Prof should answer is just. I don't want him to get into a delirium because it may affect him. I want him just to imagine what happens if these three NASA candidates don't come together. What will happen to your candidate, for example? Yeah, no. So I think I have said this openly. Yes. I think that in order for the side opposite Mr. Ruto to beat him in an election, okay, assuming it's going to be fair and square, they have to come together.
Absolutely.
They must hang together, or they're going to hang separately.
So you're saying OKA,
Yeah.
One Kenya Alliance,
has to find a way to work with Mr. Odinga. There is not going to be a presidency for Mr. Musyoka without Mr. Odinga.
Okay,
and there's not going to be a presidency for Mr. Odinga without Mr. Musyoka.
Okay,
these two are indispensable.
Let me ask you this. One side of Jubilee, because let's face it, it's split down the middle. Let's say Jubilee A is also in coalition talks with ODM. Help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the game of politics, Jeff, is addition, not subtraction. And you pick up whatever scraps you can pick up. I mean, so, I mean, I think ODM, I mean, not ODM, but Jubilee, and these folks are celebrating, is a carcass. But when I told them in 2013 that it's nonsense on stilts, that will take 2 steps and collapse, they laughed at me. It has collapsed. But it does not mean that that particular energy that was there cannot be reassembled, because we know it was an ethnic energy. It was an ethnic-based energy between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin. The question is going to be, just one little point, the question is going to be, who can make a real play for the Kikuyu vote? A large enough Kikuyu vote to make a difference? Or is that Kikuyu vote going to cancel itself out? Because my belief is that if Mr. Ruto does not get 90% of that vote, he can kiss that office goodbye.
No, but a slight correction, on the question you asked when you said that Jubilee A is negotiating with ODM. It's not true, because, I mean, we know the state that Jubilee is, and I don't think there is, a sizable political component of Jubilee that's negotiating with ODM. But maybe individuals. I mean, someone said we may negotiate, but the Jubilee, as Prof rightly said, basically were 2 ethnic components. The Kalenjin and the Kikuyu. The Kalenjins 100% are in ODM, in UDA. The Kikuyus 90% are out of Jubilee.
But they were saying they're working on modalities for an alliance. What are you talking about?
So I think
that collapsed. It's dead in the water. It's no longer there.
No. I think that's too simplistic. I think what I would say, and I've said it. I don't know if you listened to me, Grand Mullah, when I said.
I listen a lot, very carefully.
Just listen. Listen again. When I said that the energy that was in Jubilee was an ethnic-based energy. Okay, someone is going to tap that energy. That energy that was there. It is just latent. When he says that 90% of the Kikuyus are in UDA.
No, I said they're out of Jubilee. I didn't say they're in UDA. They're out of Jubilee.
Yeah, well,
they are floating.
Yeah, okay. So that's an interesting admission on your part, because I think in the past you have tended to indicate that they are all flocking towards Mr. Ruto. What remains to be seen in the forthcoming elections? For the first time in Kenya's multi-party history, there won't be a Kikuyu candidate at the top of the ticket, a credible one. It will be very interesting for me to see how the Kikuyu vote, quite frankly, or whether they vote in large numbers, or whether there will be voter apathy. We don't know that fact. So I just think it's an open election in that sense.
Yeah.
It's an open election in that sense. I think you would agree with that.
Go on.
No, I agree. I mean, it is very important there's a lot of things that will happen in 2022, especially the central Kenya vote. But I think it is fairly clear that central Kenya wants to be in a winning coalition so that they are part of government. And they are the most sophisticated voters in this country. They are the most dedicated, the richest, the most urbanized. So the decisions they make are very sophisticated decisions in terms of who has their best interest, who do we have a relationship, who do we have a history of working together, and who do we have a history of fighting.
But let's face it, Prof.
No, but did you just see what he did?
Who have a history of?
No, did you see what he just did? I want to call him out on it because I cannot let it go.
What did he just do?
He just genuflected to the Kikuyu. Right there. saying they are the richest, they are the brightest, they are the most brilliant people. Oh God, maybe they just descended from heaven, man.
No.
Come on now. No. Give me a break. Give me a break.
No. Look, I'm just highlighting the societal advancement and the way this country is stratified.
You cannot diminish other Kenyans like this by elevating one group over the others. Come on, man.
Let me talk about the reality. I mean, don't be academic. If you compare the people of northern Kenya in terms of their development to the people of central Kenya, there's a lot of difference.
No.
If you look at the education level, there's a lot of difference. But if you look at per capita, there's a lot of difference. If you look at graduate students, there's a lot of difference.
But listen, we are talking,
and it's the inability by people like Prof to look and see this reality that is holding us back.
No. We are talking about how people vote, okay, in this country, all right? And you can just go back to 1963, okay, in the first election.
You voted. Maybe I was not there.
No, just listen.
Did you vote?
No. Just you go back and analyze the statistics. You will see that in this country, all ethnic groups, generally vote one way.
That's true.
Either for their man or woman, or as directed by their man or woman.
No.
Okay?
Or sometimes against.
Yeah. So that's a fact. Whether it is in Central, whether it is wherever it is, it's a fact. It's not just the Kikuyu who do that. Okay?
Okay.
The Somali, for example, have always voted with the government.
Okay, very well. Can I ask you guys a quick question? And how come the lineup remains the same? It's going to be the usual suspects. It's Kalonzo, it's Mudavadi, it's Wetangula, it's maybe Gideon is going to be in there. It's Ruto, it's Raila. It's the usual suspects, guys.
You know why, Jeff?
Why?
The Kenyan psychology, what I would call the zeitgeist, the consciousness of the people of this country, they like to elect into high office, especially at that level, individuals who have had very senior executive experience. Okay, so if you look at the people who have run for president, credibly, they are individuals who have either held, a vice presidency, or a deputy presidency, or a prime minister's position. Those are the people Kenyans like to elect for those positions. Now, the reason why that is the case also is because those people also tend to come from the 5 biggest groups, okay? And so they have incumbency. So, for example, you have Musyoka, who has incumbency in Ukambani. It's a fact. You have Mudavadi with incumbency in Western, and so on and so forth. So that's why they are the same usual suspects. He could make a great president, I hope.
And I'm ready.
And he's ready.
Would you vote for him?
But no one. I will consider him. I'm not going to vote. I will consider him. But
as long as
but he won't get more than 100 votes if he stands. Despite his brains, despite his enormous wealth.
Because.
And the problem is, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, these same candidates will be there.
Yep.
Yes, because we have seen candidates, who have been contesting for the last 5-6 elections.
Yeah.
Whether they lose or win, they will always claim that they have been rigged, and they will continue. Yeah. I can tell you that in 5 years, in 2027, I can tell you who will run for, who will be the candidates, because they will all be there.
Yeah, but if you want to run in 2027, I suggest that if your man wins, you join the government as a very senior official so that you gain this executive experience so that you become a credible candidate in 2027.
No, actually,
what you're saying is his man could win.
Of course he could win. Of course he could win.
Who is it? Is it Ruto?
I would do somersaults and I would be completely flabbergasted if he won, but he might win. Mr. Ruto might win the election.
Is it Ruto versus Raila?
I think that is to be determined, because I think Mr. Odinga has not spoken on that question.
You're very edgy on that. You're very dodgy. It's the first time you don't want to give a real answer, Prof.
Well, I can tell you this. If you want a scenario, as opposed to a prediction.
Go on.
The scenario would be that Mr. Musyoka would likely run against Mr. Ruto. Another scenario would be Mr. Odinga would run against Mr. Ruto. I think those are the two most credible candidates, in my view, of those ones who have been mentioned to take on Mr. Ruto. I don't think that Mr. Mudavadi is a gentleman, and I like him, but I don't think that he has the oomph for such a competition.
Graham Muller, if the election were held today?
I mean, you know, the tragedy about Kenya is, I mean, Prof is glorifying ethnic cohesiveness. And he's saying that Mudavadi is not a credible candidate because he's not saying it, but he is implying that because the Luyas are not cohesive ethnically, Mudavadi is not a credible candidate. He is giving credence to those ethnic communities that are very jingoistic, for example, like the Kamba and the Luos. And he's saying their sons are credible because there is that ethnic cohesion. But if you look at the numbers, I mean, the Luyas have almost double the votes that the Kambas have. And he's saying that the Luyas are not, there's no credible candidate that comes from it. Yeah. But that is the madarao of Kenyan politics, you know?
No. I think you like to punch just below the belt, you know, Graham Muller. Listen, you just want to get my goat. But listen.
No, but isn't that what you just said?
You want to get my goat. Look, I mean, it is, you know, Mr. Mudavadi does not get more votes in Western Kenya than Mr. Odinga.
No, I know, but because...
Yeah. And why is that?
I mean, they're not cohesive.
No, it's the candidate. It's a candidate.
Suppose Wetangula runs, you think he will get all the candidates?
He's even worse.
So when will we get a look?
All right, folks. Good to see you both smiling. Let's switch gears real quick. Last time we spoke, Kenya was searching for a Chief Justice. We've now got one. First female ever, Martha Koome. Your thoughts real quick before we go to the tweets? Prof?
I was not happy with the process, first of all. I think the process was messed up. Not transparent. It appeared to have been underhanded in some way or other, or pre-planned. But on the other hand, I was very pleased that the first woman became a Chief Justice in Kenya. The early returns on her are mixed. There are some encouraging signs, but there are also some very disturbing signs. I think recently she indicated that the judiciary was perhaps not as independent as we think it should be, and I think that was a mistake. I think that the Chief Justice should go back to her roots, which were firmly planted, and our feet were firmly planted in the area of the rule of law and human rights, and you know, standing up for the rights of small people and judicial independence. I think somehow she appears to be indicating by language that she has used that she may be moving away from that, and I hope she doesn't.
Graham Muller?
No, I think, like all Kenyans, I think it was a great moment to have a female, you know, as Chief Justice finally after so many years. As Prof rightly said, you know, I mean, Mother is someone who has been in the struggle in the 90s, you know, in the late 80s, when lawyers, you know, like her, like Mother Karua, all those were agitating for reforms. And that, you know, that historical aspect, you know, gives us a lot of hope. You know, someone who lived during that era, someone who participated in that struggle, never lose their root or forget their history. And I mean, she's in office for like 2 months. I mean, nothing really much has happened apart from 1 or 2 issues. But I tell lawyers, or I tell Kenyans, let us support her. Let us give her whatever support she needs. Let us even, you know, give her ideas on how to manage the judiciary, because it is a very difficult institution with a lot of interests, with a lot of conflicts. At the right time, we will hold her feet close to the fire. That will come if she, you know, we will judge her later on. But I think at this point in time, we need to rally all the support we can get.
Yeah, her predecessor, David Maraga, had to contend with a lot of hostility with the executive. Once this honeymoon is over, like you say, do you think we'll go back to that?
No, but you see, people don't know the judiciary. There's the micro and the macro level. You know, this Maraga was a specialist in the public aspect of the judiciary, you know, fighting the executive, making press conferences. That's not very important for me. For me, what's very important is that what kind of judges do we have? What kind of, you know, integrity is there? Is there corruption in the judiciary? Do Kenyans get justice? How quickly does it take a case to be heard and determined? Those are the important things. That is what will make a judiciary. And the Kenyan judiciary, you know, is very poor in that aspect. But when you don't do your homework and you want to play to the gallery, like Maraga used to do, in my view, I mean, you will be a populist that addresses the public when your house is burning. And I think that will be the difference between Maraga and Koome. Koome, in my view, will concentrate on her house. She will see how the Supreme Court is run, how the Court of Appeal is run, how the High Court is run, how the magistrates. That is what Kenyans want. We want a judiciary that works. We don't want a Chief Justice that addresses the president or the deputy president or the political actors. Okay, that's a small part of his role, 5–10%, but 90% is the judiciary.
The 42 judges appointed by the JSC, only 34 appointed by the president.
Yes.
6 still in question, one unfortunately died along the way.
Yeah.
Was the president right?
No. I think that was a travesty and really a mockery of the Constitution. I think that the 34 judges who were appointed betrayed their brothers and sisters by taking that oath of office. I think Chief Justice Koome made a mistake by going to the State House to participate in that swearing in. I think they should have stood firm together. They should have refused to be intimidated, because the president has no other role to play. Once the Judicial Service Commission gives him names to appoint, he has to appoint them. And I think, Grand Mullah, you are one of the pioneers of this principle.
Yes, but
so my view is, if Mr. Kenyatta has an issue within a particular candidate, those issues should have been raised and addressed at the level of the JSC by his appointees who sit in the JSC. And if there are cases to answer, investigate and prosecute. But he must appoint those people. And I'm very angry. I am very angry because one of the persons who was not appointed was Professor John Ngugi, who happens to have been my student at Harvard. One of the most brilliant Kenyans, a juris par excellence, as Grand Mullah would agree, just a great young man. And why would he be punished like this?
No, but the good thing, I mean, I agree with him. It's a sad state of affairs that judges who should have been sworn in have not been sworn. The good thing is that, you know, they have 11 more months or 12 more months to run. Any government that comes to power next year will swear these judges. I think it will be the first act of state after they swear in of a president.
But they have been damaged.
No, I know.
They have been damaged unnecessarily.
We can remedy that damage. We can have a ceremony, a special ceremony, to appreciate them and to recognize their place in history. We will organize those things.
We, yeah? You heard.
I heard.
No, I'm saying we as Kenya now.
You didn't mean we as Kenyans.
I mean,
he said we.
No, I think
a Freudian slip.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that.
That is something.
They are counting their chickens too. Yeah, before the eggs.
Whether it's Raila, Ruto, Kalonzo, or Mudavadi, I mean, they will be sworn next year, God willing.
Okay, let's move on. You're both members of the LSK?
I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Okay, but you were at one point?
No.
Okay.
He's an honorary member, I think.
You're an honorary member. Your assessment, your thoughts of LSK President Nelson Havi?
Really, do we have to talk about this? It's really a tragic story. I don't like to talk about tragedies. That's a tragic story because on the face of it, Mr. Havi appears to be an intelligent person. But I think he has run the LSK into the ground. He has failed to exhibit the decorum and the wisdom that I expect to see from the LSK president. I know that my friend here likes him very much, but I don't think there has been another LSK president who has acted as impulsively or as impetuously as this one, and without purpose. For example, his struggle with the CEO of LSK is asinine. It's an asinine struggle completely. Why is he obsessed with the secretary to the LSK? She is a functionary, for God's sake. You know, so those are the mistakes. You know, and I know he wants to run for office, perhaps, you know, political office. Perhaps he should not have run for LSK president. He should have waited and run for the MP of Westlands. He can be my MP. I also live there.
Okay. No, I mean, the LSK is facing a lot of challenges. Everybody can see it. I mean, it's a very important institution in this country. I mean, it has a lot of history, you know, a lot of good things. And I mean, everybody sees what's happening. They are, even in this difficulty, I think they are doing a lot of good things, especially in terms of, you know, public law litigation and raising their voice on important matters.
In spite of the president.
Yes, but I mean, it would have been better if LSK was united. You know, the chairman carries his council, the secretariat, and everybody. But I agree, this is with Prof, that it is a very challenging time for the society.
You are being very kind.
Which is
you are being very kind.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with being kind.
Okay.
Call a spade a spade, not a spoon.
Let me ask you this, gentlemen. This time next year, plus minus 5 days, this country will be at the mercy of the IEBC.
God help us all. You know, and like, you know, my friend here, I think the IEBC is just the bane of our existence. It's really one of those institutions, not because of the way it is structured, but because of the way, because of the people who are appointed there and how they are appointed and the loyalties they hold to others. We never addressed the cancer that led to, for example, the resignation of Dr. Rosalind Akombe, an outstanding Kenyan. We never pursued the murder of Chris Musando after the election in that commission. The chairman of that commission is a wishy-washy, you know, individual who does not stand for anything.
What do you mean?
He doesn't stand for anything, Mr. Chebukati. He's just a guy.
I thought he ran two presidential elections very well.
Very, very poorly. You know, and so
for you, it is the result that determines.
No. My view is that there were issues that have been raised by individuals who resigned. You know, killings that took place, and so on and so forth. Those have not been addressed. He, as the chairman of IEBC, should have led all those processes to give us confidence in this institution.
No, I think,
your thoughts?
You know, I mean, elections are run by institutions which are established by law, and I'm very conversant with the law that establishes. And even if you look at the regime of, you know, our election laws, they are very good. It's a very good legal regime. But whether we will have a peaceful election in 2022 depends on how the state behaves. For example, you have seen the by-elections in Bonchari, in so many places, where the police, you know, ran amok, havoc, where ballot boxes were, you know, almost destroyed, where people were not allowed to vote. If the state unleashes policemen like that throughout the country, we will not have elections, and there will be chaos in this country. But if you allow the Electoral Commission to run elections without any state interference, I think the IEBC and the commissioners, and I think now there are 3 or 4 guys that will join, they will run an effective and efficient and transparent elections. But the choice is for those, you know, who wield power, allow either a transparent election or a chaos that will lead to bloodshed.
But I think I don't particularly disagree that the state should not obviously have its fingers.
Like they were doing the by-elections.
No, I don't know about that, but I'll just say
you are away.
They should.
I've tweeted about it once or twice. You must have read it.
Just listen. They shouldn't. I don't read every tweet that you
I think
send
you do.
out.
I think you do.
Why would I do?
And he reads all your articles.
Why would I do such a thing?
No, actually, he sends me messages when he sees it.
How can you disclose confidential conversations? Anyway, look, I think that I agree with my friend here that the IEBC should be allowed to run the election by the state. There's no question about that. But I think the individuals, and you'd agree with me, who are appointed by the IEBC, their integrity is paramount. Because, you know, institutions don't run themselves. They are run by individuals, and those individuals must have integrity. That's all we are asking for. if we're going to have a clean election. And then secondarily, or perhaps primarily, people who lose the election in 2022, if that election is free and fair, should accept the results of that election, no matter who it is.
I think you have a role to play.
It's a fact. No, let me say this. It's a fact that I would not vote for Mr. Ruto. I think his record stinks to the high heavens. I think he's unqualified to run and unfit to run for high office. But if he's allowed to run and he wins the election in a fair and free way, then all of us must accept that fact. If he loses in a free and fair way, he also must accept that.
Grand Mullah, you agree?
No, I've said this many times. The biggest problem in Kenya is not that elections are rigged, or the biggest problem in Kenya is that those who lose elections simply refuse to accept the result. That's it. And Prof knows.
Those who lose free and fair elections should not accept.
The moment you qualify, you give it a personal flair.
Yeah.
Yes, you say that if I lose, I will not accept. And that's what has been causing chaos in this country. And I think Prof has a role to play, to persuade some of these credible candidates that if they lose, they have lost fairly. And I'm sure this time he will play that role.
Grand Mullah, real quick.
I'm trying to persuade them.
If an election was held today, Ruto, Raila, who would win?
No, Prof has talked about the scenarios. There are 3 candidates on that side. If there's Kalonzo, there is Mudavadi, there is Raila. And if those 3 candidates run on their own plus Ruto, they will share, between them, they will share, I think, 30%.
And if they were together?
I think that 30% will be under one candidate.
He is the one who used the word hallucination, not me. So now he's hallucinating. And,
How come none of you have mentioned Senator Gideon Moi in any of this? How come did he not appear? Grand Mullah, how come?
But I don't think he has said he wants to run. If he runs for president, what's his constituency? Where is he running low? Where are his voters? You have to have voters.
I think it's people who are born of powerful and wealthy and politically connected parents always think that they can be president, and they should be president.
And that is, this sense of entitlement.
Yeah. In the case of Mr. Ruto, he is perhaps the least qualified person, just in terms of what he brings to the table, both as a public candidate, but also as a person. When you see the guy speaking in public, you feel sorry for him. And you wonder why he's subjecting himself to this scandal of a process.
Prof, that's cold. That's cold.
No, I'm serious. If I was him, I would just concentrate on business. I would not even go to the Senate to be a senator. Those are not his gifts. Perhaps he has other gifts, but not in politics.
All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it at that. Real quick.
No, that's a very historic statement he has made.
Somebody has decided. Gentlemen, before I let you go, you've just come back from America.
Yes.
You know that more than 50% of adults in America have been vaccinated.
Yes.
I've just come back from Rome.
Yes.
They stopped wearing masks in the streets.
Yes.
Kenya.
Yeah.
Is this vaccine apartheid? Are we having trouble getting our vaccines? Are you having trouble vaccinating people? What's the problem?
Well, there's no question that there's vaccine nationalism and vaccine inequity. There's no question about that. The United States has hundreds and hundreds of doses of vaccine that it can share with other countries. And what we know about this particular virus is that it knows no borders. And so even if the Americans are vaccinated, okay, and others are not, it will spread. It will still spread and infect folks. So I think it's foolhardy to think that we can create separation between the United States and places like Kenya. Having said all of that, I want to say that this country called Kenya is run by thieves. They have stolen all the money for COVID treatment and COVID vaccines and PPEs and so on. Yeah? And it's money that they were given for those purposes. You know.
But the vaccination process is going pretty decent.
No, not really. I mean, look at what Rwanda has done. Better than us. A small, tiny country emerging out of a genocide. You know, the problem with Kenyans is that they have not seen a foot of theirs that they did not want to shoot. They just shoot themselves on every foot. So it's very sad. I don't actually believe the statistics that Mr. Kagwe, you know, gives out every day. It seems like a broken record, a song. You know, we don't test enough people, we don't collect data, we don't sequence anything. So it's a sad situation. So I think, yes, there's vaccine apartheid, which we can blame on industrialized countries, but there's also stupidity on our part.
Graham Muller, you got both Sputnik.
I don't agree with Prof on that vaccine apartheid or anything. Vaccines are made by companies, private companies. There are guys who took the risk and said that, you know, we will invest in your research and we'll pay for you. And it's not just the advanced countries, guys in the Middle East, guys in Asia, everybody invested. Kenya, instead of investing money, we put money for BBI, you remember? It's BBI we prioritize, not vaccine. So, I mean, Kenyans don't care. I mean, the government doesn't care about its people. I mean, if you have spent 20 or 30 billion to buy vaccine, I mean, we'll have had enough for this country. But it's not a priority for Kenyan government, whether people die or not. Yeah. That is not a priority. They don't care about it. And that is why we have not even invested 10 or 20 billion or even 30 billion. It's not a lot of money, but we'll have vaccinated many kinds. But you know, I've said this, that the Kenyan government know that the West will feel sorry for its people and they will be given free vaccine. That's what we have been waiting for, and I think it's coming next month, you know. So that's it.
It'll be free.
Yes, it will be free.
Gentlemen, I'd love to go to the magic wall, but you know, the time, look at the time. Time flies when you're having fun. We have to do this again sometime.
We have to do it again.
What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's go to Buffalo next time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buffalo, New York.
No, let's go to Kitui Villa next time first.
Kitui Villa?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I am really, Jeff, I thought you were my friend, man.
I am your friend.
You stiff me every time I ask you.
I love the pictures of Kitui Villa, though. Well done. Beautiful place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Graham Muller, good to see you as always, man.
Thank you.
You're getting younger and younger.
No, we'll go there. I want to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's the largest, you know, direct foreign investment in Kitui.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
Yeah.
Not by a long shot.
It's been about the Graham Muller and the man with the crystal ball, folks, right here on Jeff Koinange Live. By the way, Jeff Koinange Live is powered by Standard Chartered Priority Banking. Standard Chartered Priority Banking. Your priorities are their priorities. Thanks so much for being a part of the show, folks. Remember, every Wednesday, it's all about 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks for watching. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag JK Live. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all. Well done, gentlemen. Well done.